that we are going to study is the next phylum that we are going to study is kingdom. The next kingdom that we are going to study is kingdom Protista. So we have completed kingdom Monera. So in kingdom Protista, they are all having eukaryotic organisms. See in the slide, you have this background of diatoms. Diatoms are considered to be the jewels of the plant kingdom. Okay, so these diatoms are also placed under Protista. Euglena is also there, so they are also placed under Protista. The protozoan protists like amoeba, entamoeba, then Trypanosoma gambiensis, uh, the paramecium, which is commonly called as slipper animalcule, and the Plasmodium vivax, which causes malaria. All of these organisms are placed under kingdom Protista. What are the general characteristics of kingdom Protista? They are eukaryotic organism. That is, their nucleus has a nuclear membrane and nucleolus. The nucleus of Protista has a nuclear membrane and nucleolus, so they are considered to be eukaryotic organism. They have a true nucleus. Apart from that, they have ribosomes of 80S type with a larger subunit of 60 years and a smaller subunit of 40 years. So these protista also contains organisms with double membrane cell organelles. So they have double membrane cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes. All these are found in the kingdom Protista. So this is what is the attribute of Protista. They are having unicellular organisms and they are eukaryotic organisms. For the first time, you are noticing the eukaryotic organisms in the kingdom Protista. Kingdom Monera, they had prokaryotic organisms. Kingdom Protista, you find the eukaryotic organisms. So kingdom Protista, it includes single-celled eukaryotes. So below they have given these examples. The first example is amoeba. Amoeba is indefinite in shape. So anything which does not have a definite shape, we call it as amoeba or amoeboid in shape, we call it as. The second diagram is slipper animalcule with cilia has the locomotory structure. Slipper animalcule, or commonly it is called as paramecium. Then the third microorganism that they have given is Euglena, which has flagella as a um, the locomotory structure. Euglena has both chloroplast. They almost have plant and animal cell characters together. Okay, so the kingdom Protista, it includes all the single-celled or unicellular eukaryotic organisms. So kingdom Protista has a well-defined nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles are found in kingdom Protista. Already I've told you ribosomes are of 80S type with a larger subunit of 60S and a smaller subunit of 40S. Then some of the microorganisms of protistans, they have flagella or cilia as a locomotory structure. That is also a point that you have to remember. They have flagella or cilia as a locomotory structure. In case of amoeba, they have false foot, that is pseudopodia is formed for locomotion. So protists are primarily aquatic organism, and this kingdom Protista, it is a link with plants, animals, and fungi. So it is going to form a connecting link with plants, animals, and fungi. So the kingdom Protista, it is forming a connecting link with plants, animals, and fungi. So the kingdom Protista, you find the organisms reproduce asexually and sexually also. So sexual reproduction in case of Protista is by cell fusion and zygote formation. There is no gamete formation here. So you can see here the paramecium, two of them they have fused. So the fusion of cell takes place and the fusion of nucleus takes place. And these it forms zygote. This is the type of sexual reproduction you notice in Protista, where the cells are going to fuse and zygotes are going to form. There is no production of gametes. So that is what you have to remember regarding the kingdom Protista. So they are the general characteristics of kingdom Protista. Now Protista is classified into chrysophytes. Chrysophytes includes all these uh, the circular diatoms, longitudinal diatoms. So the pennates and circular diatoms are found in case of chrysophytes. I told you that the diatoms are called as jewels of the plant kingdom because of the ornamentation nature that they have. So the diatoms are commonly called as the jewels of the plant kingdom. So whenever we are talking about planktons, majorly we are talking about diatoms. Then dinoflagellates, the second slide is the example for it. The desmids are example for dinoflagellates. Euglenoids, you have this euglena as an example for euglenoids. Slime mounds, you can see the fourth slide, the below slide. Second row, the first slide is the slime molds. Then protozoans, they have given the example of paramecium with cilia. So the protozoans are amoeba, paramecium, trypanosoma gambiensis, which causes sleeping sickness, plasmodium vivax, which causes malaria. They are all example for protozoans. So the classification of protista is they are classified as chrysophytes, example diatoms, dinoflagellates, example desmids, euglenoids, example euglena, slime molds. Then protozoans, you have the example of amoeba, paramecium. Then you also have the example of trypanosoma, trypanosoma gambiensis, which causes sleeping sickness. Plasmodium vivax, which causes malaria, is also a protozoan. So these are all examples of the protozoans. So let us study about this chrysophytes. So I told you diatoms and golden algae, desmids, they are all examples of chrysophytes. So they are found in fresh water as well as marine water. So in salt water also you can notice them. So the chrysophytes are found in freshwater and marine environments. They are microscopic and they float passively in water currents. So whenever we are talking about planktons, we are talking about the diatoms and desmids. So microscopic and float passively in water currents. Planktons are going to float passively in water currents. Most of them are photosynthetic, that is, they have chloroplasts and they can undergo photosynthesis. The examples for chrysophytes are diatoms and golden algae, which is commonly called as desmids. So the second slide is the golden algae. They look like a goldish color, so we call it as golden algae, and their common name is desmids. So in diatoms, they have siliceous cell wall forming two thin overlapping shells. So there is a larger shell which we call it as epitheca, and there is a smaller shell called as hypotheca. So they fit into each other. It is just like a box. The outermost lid is a little larger than the innermost lid. So the epitheca encloses the hypotheca. So this sort of overlapping walls or shells you find in case of diatoms, and they are made up of silica, siliceous cell wall. So the epitheca and hypotheca, these are the overlapping shells. They fit together as in a soap box. So these epitheca and hypotheca, they fit together as in a soap box. So diatoms are the chief producers in the oceans, so planktons. So they are in large number. So they are the chief producers in the uh, oceans. Okay, so you can notice the different shapes of these diatoms. So here you have this beautiful ornamentation within the diatoms. So this is the another diatom with such beautiful ornamentation. Because of this design patterns and ornamentation in diatoms, we call them as the jewels of the plant kingdom. So the diatoms have siliceous cell walls which forms two thin overlapping shells I told you about. The cell wall deposit of diatoms over billions of years in their habitat. So many diatoms which had died, they've not got disintegrated because of their siliceous cell walls. So from billions of years in their habitat, the cell wall deposits of diatoms have uh, existed from billions of years. And this we call it as diatomaceous earth. See the diatomaceous earth, this is used in, so the second slide shows the diatomaceous earth where the cell wall of the diatoms are not destroyed and they are there from billions of years. So this diatomaceous earth is used in polishing, filtration of oil and syrups. So they are used for these purpose. Then the dinoflagellates is the next uh, classification that we are discussing about. So the dinoflagellates, if you look into them, like Goniolax is an example for dinoflagellates. They are marine and photosynthetic. They are found only in seawater and they are photosynthetic. So they are autotrophs. They appear in different colors, yellow, green, brown, blue or red, depending on the main pigment in the dinoflagellate cells. So they might be of different colors, yellow, green, brown, blue or red. You can see how much colorful and attractive they are. So they are found in the seawater and they are photosynthetic. The cell wall, just like diatoms, even here they have a hard cell wall made up of cellulose plates on the outer surface. So the dinoflagellates, see here this diagram is not required just for your understanding. See they have two flagella. Dinoflagellates have two flagella. One lies longitudinally, you can notice them, and the other is transversely noticed in a furrow between the wall plates. There is a furrow here. So the transverse flagellum you can notice. So there is a one longitudinal flagellum and a transverse flagellum. So they have two flagellums and this transverse flagellum is found between the wall plates. The red dinoflagellates, example Goniolax, so they undergo rapid multiplication so that the sea appears red in color, red tides. If you notice red tides, you should not be surprised much. So they are having a large number of red dinoflagellates, which gives it the appearance of red waves or red tide. So they release toxins. So this Goniolax release toxins which kill marine animals like fishes. So the Red Sea is majorly made up of this. So you can remember about this Goniolax. So the red tides are formed by this red dinoflagellates. Example is Goniolax. So they undergo rapid multiplication within a short duration of the time so that the sea appears red in color. So they release toxins. This red dinoflagellates, they release toxic material which kills marine animals like fishes. The next one that we are going to discuss discuss about is euglenoids. The euglenoids are mainly freshwater organisms. See, in one of the ponds where this euglena is found in large number, they are greenish in color. Okay, so they are mainly found in freshwater and in stagnant water. So not in moving water, they are found in stagnant water. So instead of cell wall, this euglena have a protein-rich layer called as pellicle. They don't have a cell wall. Instead, they have a protein-rich layer called as pellicle. So it gives flexibility to body. So this pellicle, it gives flexibility to the euglena body. So the euglena has two flagella, a short flagella and a long one. So very short flagellum, small one you can notice in this diagram. So very small flagella is there and a long flagellum is seen outside. So they have two flagella, a short and a long one. So euglenoids, they are photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight. If sunlight is not present, they behave like heterotrophs. and they predate on other organisms. If sunlight is present, they are autotrophs, and if sunlight is absent, they are heterotrophs and they are predators. So they predate on other animals. The pigments in case of euglenoids, the chlorophyll A, they are identical to that of higher plants. So example is this euglena. In euglenoids, the pigments are identical to those of higher plants. So this diagram you will again be drawing in your practical records. They have a small flagellum, a long flagellum, short and long flagellum. So you can notice these structures like contractile vacuole, nucleus, chloroplast. So pellicle, instead of cell wall, they have a outermost layer pellicle, which gives flexibility to their body. So now you can notice the second slide is seen through a microscope, the euglena. This is how the euglena looks in a microscope. The next classification under the protista is the slime molds. So the slime molds are generally noticed here. So let us discuss about the slime molds. They are saprophytic protists. They are not heterotrophic, and they are saprophytic protists. That is, the slime molds are dependent upon the dead and decaying organic contents of plants and animals. That is the reason they are called as saprophytic protists. The body of the slime molds, they move along decaying twigs and leaves, and they engulf organic material. So we can notice this saprophytic protist, the slime molds on various decaying surfaces. You notice them. So the body moves along decaying twigs and leaves, engulfing the organic material. So under suitable conditions, this lime molds, they form an aggregation or a colony like which we call it as plasmodium, and it may spread over several feet. It is not just a small region, several feet they might spread. So the plasmodium body, they move along decaying twigs and leaves, and they engulf this organic material. Under suitable conditions, they form an aggregation or group called as plasmodium, and it may spread over several feet. So below you can see the examples of the slime molds, commonly seen slime molds. They are the saprophytic protists. So these slime molds under unfavorable condition, the plasmodium, that is their aggregate or colony, they differentiate and they form fruiting bodies. Can you notice the small fruiting bodies? So bearing spores at their tips. They have spores at their tips. So the fruiting bodies having spores at their tips. The spores have true wall. They are highly resistant and they can survive for many years. And these spores are carried by wind. So that is the survival capability of this slime molds. So and their aggregate bodies or colony, which we call it as the plasmodium. See, under unfavorable condition, plasmodium differentiates and they form fruiting bodies bearing spores at their tips. And these spores are having true walls. They are highly resistant and they can survive for many years. And spores are dispersed, that is, they are carried by wind. Spores are dispersed by air current. So you can see the cycle, not required for you to write this cycle, but for understanding. See the plasmodium, they produce fruiting body during the unfavorable condition and they have the spores at their tip. These haploid spores are carried by wind, and when they fall onto the soils, they develop the gametes. There is a fusion of these gametes and they form the zygote, and that zygote during favorable condition, they develop to form the plasmodium. That is an aggregate of slime molds, we call it as plasmodium. So slime molds are saprophytic protists. So remember about this characteristic features of slime molds. Then the next thing that we have to study about is the kingdom protista we have is protozoan protists. So the protozoans, they are heterotrophs. They are predators or parasites. They are primitive relatives of animals. Earlier animal classification, they include even protista under kingdom Animalia or animal kingdom. but now they are removed and they are placed under the kingdom protista. So the protozoan protists, you find four groups of these protozoans, that is amoeboid protozoans, the flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoans. So there are four groups of protozoans, that is amoeboid protozoans. They are, you can see the first slide. So the amoeboid shape with plasmodium, pseudopodia, not plasmodium, pseudopodia. The flagellated protozoans, especially this Trypanosoma gambiensis, it has a flagella. See, Trypanosoma gambiensis causes sleeping sickness and it is spread by a vector. Vector means insect, CC, TSC, TSC. And it is endemic disease found in Gambia. So if you are caught in a class sleeping and you say, I have sleeping sickness, it is not possible unless and until you have visited Gambia recently. It is not possible. So you are just sleeping. You're caught sleeping and not that you're suffering from sleeping sickness. For sleeping sickness to be occurred, it is by the Trypanosoma gambiensis, which has flagella. So the in between you find this red blood cells. In between them you are finding this Trypanosoma gambiensis. Then the ciliated protozoans, you notice this paramecium is a ciliated protozoan. Then sporozoans, you can notice here again in the blood, you can notice this Plasmodium vivax. Sporozoans are non-motile. See, the protozoans, based on their type of locomotor structures, they are classified as amoeboid protozoans, amoeba, entamoeba, they are all placed under amoeboid protozoans. They are moving through their formation of false feet or pseudopodia. In flagellated protozoans, their locomotor structures are flagella. Example is Trypanosoma gambiensis. Ciliated protozoans, you have the example of Paramecium, which moves through the cilia. Paramecium is also commonly called as slipper animalcule. Okay, the sporozoans. So they are the Plasmodium vivax is an example for sporozoans. They are non-motile protozoans. If they ask you during NEET or CET exam, give an example for non-motile protozoans. Remember to write the Plasmodium vivax. The sporozoans are non-motile protozoans. So let us study one by one these different groups of protozoans. See, the amoeboid protozoans, they live in fresh water or marine water, or you can also notice them in moist soil. So this amoeba, their mode of nutrition is they move and capture prey by putting out pseudopodia, false feet. They enclose this food particle, pseudopodia by false feet, they enclose this food particle and they are going to form the food vacuum. Example is amoeba. See, the marine forms have silica shells on their surface. The marine amoeba has silica shells on their surface. So you have to remember about this aspect of it. So the marine forms of amoeba have silica on their surface. So some are parasitic. In amoeboid protozoans, some are parasitic. Example is Entamoeba histolytica. It causes amoebiosis. So a person in human beings, this Entamoeba histolytica, it causes amoebiosis where they are going to have uh, dysentery accompanied with blood and mucus. So Entamoeba, they have this uh, dysentery. Persons affected or infected with entamoeba, they suffer from amoebiosis, where they have dysentery with blood and mucus. So they corrode the walls of the intestine. So entamoeba causes amoebiosis. So remember about this amoeboid protozoans. They live in fresh water or seawater or moist soil. They move and capture the prey by putting out pseudopodia or false feet. Example, amoeba. The marine forms have silica shells on their surface. Some are parasitic. Example, Entamoeba histolytica is parasitic. The flagellated protozoans are free living or parasitic. So they have flagella as the locomotor structures. The parasitic forms cause diseases like sleeping sickness. Example, Trypanosoma gambiensis. Here you have this slide which shows this Trypanosoma gambiensis with flagellum. So sleeping sickness, it leads to coma and death, and it is spread by an insect called as CC fly. And this CC fly is endemic to African country like Gambia. So the next one is the ciliated protozoans. Before that, I would also like to say in flagellated protozoans, you have this Leishmania donovani, which causes Kala Azar. They have not spoken about that. Kala Azar is black fever. In Indian continent, you can, Indian country, you can notice this Kala Azar or black fever, which is caused by a protozoan called as Leishmania donovani. Even they have locomotor structure as flagella. So the ciliated protozoans, they are aquatic, actively moving using cilia. They have a cavity or gullet that opens to outside. Due to the movement of cilia, water with food enters into gullet. Example is paramecium. So the ciliated protozoans, they are aquatic, they are actively moving using the cilia. They have a cavity or gullet. It is similar to mouth. And so you can notice this cavity or gullet that opens to the outside. Due to the movement of cilia, water with food enters into this gullet. Example is paramecium. So you can, this diagram you'll be writing even in your uh, records. So you notice two types of nucleus, a small nucleus that is micronucleus and a large nucleus, we call it as macronucleus. There is contractile vacuole, cilia. At the end of this bacteria, they have tuft of cilia. We call it as tuft of cilia. And you can notice the food vacuoles. Okay, so you also have to draw the gullet. So the cilia guides the food particles into this gullet. So the cell mouth or gullet cytostome, we also call it as. So they are also having a layer of pellicle. So they are lined by. So remember about the ciliated protozoans. They are aquatic, actively moving using the cilia. They have a cavity or gullet that opens to the outside. So due to the movement of cilia, water with food enters into the gullet. Example is paramecium. Then we have the protozoans. The example that we have is sporozoans. See, the sporozoans, I've told you, they are already non-motile. They have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. Example, Plasmodium vivax, the malarial parasite. It causes malaria. So this Plasmodium vivax is the pathogen, and it is a sporozoan protozoan. They are non-motile, and this mosquito just spreads this. It is a transporting vehicle. So mosquito spreads malaria from an infected person to an healthy person. So when we are going to study about human health and diseases in second year, we'll be studying the life cycle of the um, Plasmodium vivax in the mosquito and in human beings. This malarial cycle we'll be studying in the next year. So there are different types of Plasmodium, like Plasmodium falciparum is a different species. You need not remember all this. This is only for general knowledge. So the Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale. So they are all different types of Plasmodium which can cause malaria. So the ultrastructure of Plasmodium is also there. They would be having pellicular layer. They are non-motile. They don't move from place to place. So they are carried by the vector that is the female Anopheles mosquito, from an infected malarial patient to an healthy person. This is how they spread the malarial disease. So remember about this kingdom protista, the sporozoan protists, sporozoan protozoa. So this diagram is for this the red dinoflagellates, Goniolex. So where they have a longitudinal flagella and a transverse flagellum. So you find the silicaceous walls. So the red tide is caused by this red dinoflagellates or Goniolex. Then these are diagrams that they have given in your textbook. You have this euglena with a short flagellum and a long flagellum. So they have this chloroplast. They do not have cell wall. Instead, they have pellicle, a layer of pellicle outside their body. Then this is the example of the plasmodium slime molds. Example of plasmodium C is example for that. D is paramecium or slipper animalcule. So these are the diagrams that they have given in your uh, textbook. So the kingdom fungi will be discussing it in the next class. So you can see the fruiting bodies of fungi. So what we consume, the mushroom, is nothing but fruiting body of fungi. The body of fungi is microscopic filamentous structures called as hyphae. Collection of hyphae, we call it as mycelium. So the only the fruiting body is large and visible. So this is the fruiting body with a stalk, which we call it as stipe, and umbrella-like structure. The undersurface, we call it as gills. So they liberate the spores. Okay, so we are consuming the fruiting bodies as the edible mushroom, that is the button mushroom, oyster mushroom, milky mushrooms. These are the types of mushrooms that are quite popular in India and consumed by us. Okay, that we'll discuss in the next class. So today's class we completed kingdom protista. Okay, so now the session is open for doubt clarification. You have any doubts?